I'm part of you. I'm part of FMC. I engaged with FMC in 2002, and I've watched you shape the industry, raise the standards, make it the relentless pursuit of excellence in dentistry, and you set the tone, and we try and keep up each year. And what you do here is phenomenal, okay? So this is what I'm known in FMC for: braces, orthodontics. We entered in 2003, I think, runner-up. 2005, we won. Best practice in the UK. Oh my days, changed our careers. Changed our careers, you know? Everyone came to see us. We were the best in the UK, and we were orthodontists, so that was really cool. So ever since then, I've come along and engaged with FMC, and it's been my pleasure. So I'm not here to talk about orthodontics. I'm here to talk about how to make this work. Okay. Andy. I've only got 20 minutes.
You've got 15 minutes left.
Yeah, exactly. So I also got into regenerative medicine. So my passion is regenerative medicine, stem cells, okay? Everyone talks about it, no one knows what they are. And maybe one time I can come back and talk about this. What I'm actually here to talk about is going to the North Pole. Going to the North Pole, okay? So how can a middle-aged orthodontist end up standing on top of the world? And that journey is the journey I'm here to talk about, because in 24 days' time, I think, I get on a plane to Punta Arenas in Chile, and I'm going for the South Pole. So I've stood on the top of the world, and I want to stand upside down on the bottom of the world. And this journey is what I'm here to talk about. And it's a journey really of going from being a rugged individualist, you know, the dude in the orthodontic clinic, he's surrounded by 12 people who just do as he says, to go from a rugged individualist to a group, to a team, to a family. And I think that's what I see in front of me, you know, a group of people together can do enormous things. The reach you have from this room is global, and you need to know that. So I stood on top of the world in April 2018, and how did that happen? Andy.
Just stay there.
You know what? If you can click on there, it won't move around.
So the White Desert. The White Desert's what it's called. It's a frozen ocean. I was surprised. It's not flat. That was my first surprise. It's an ocean that moves, and you land on it and you can hear it, and it's scary, and it's remote, and it's bleak, and it's also very, very cold. The terminology is beautifully brutal. I can't describe it. Everyone says to me, oh yeah, when I went skiing it was really cold, you know. And I said, really? That's really great. And then what did you do? Oh, a bit of hot chocolate, mulled wine, went into the chalet, put my feet up in front of the fire. I said, okay, we didn't do that, we're stuck in it. And it got to minus 42 when we were there. You don't often see that view of the world. And it's very hard to get to the North Pole. It's even hard to get to the start of the North Pole. It took a lot of effort to do that. Here's some statistics. We went 6,000 miles, 48,000 calories. And you need to fuel up all the time because you're fighting extreme cold and you're pulling a sledge, but more of that in a moment. So how did I get ready? Okay, so let's face it, I wasn't in the best condition, okay? So you have to commit to pulling tires. So we have these tires, you have a harness. I'm out in Richmond Park, I'm pulling my tire, get stopped by the police. They said, have you got a license for that, pulling your tire? I said, are you actually joking? And they said, no. I said, okay, no, we haven't got a license. And the Plant and Parks Commission gave us a license so we could go to Richmond Park and pull tire after tire. Strength and conditioning, CrossFit, yoga, get this carcass in shape so I could actually keep up. My big fear was I was the guy they're going to be waiting for. You know, everyone's in the cold, they've got the big coats on, and I'm in the back and they're going, well, here he comes, wait for him. So I trained and trained and trained. And in that process, I got myself in the best shape I've been for a long time. And there's me, pulling my tire. I called it, I gave that tire a name. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but it wasn't polite. Let's go back to that one. Sorry, how do I go back, Andy?
Arrows on the picture.
Arrows on the picture. So there was quite a punchy group. You need a lot of kit to go to the North Pole, and you have to trust your kit. Okay, so we had the sleeping bag. People say, we saw people getting into the sleeping bag with their jackets and coats on thinking they'll be warmer. You have to trust your kit. You have to have to trust it. So you get in and literally your skins, warm up the sleeping bag and let it look after you. You also have 2 bottles, one for liquids to drink and one for a pee bottle, because you don't want to go outside at minus 42 in the middle of the night. And there's a warning, okay, just in case you find in the morning you think someone's made you some orangeade, do not drink it, okay? These are the people I went with. Alan Chambers, Polar Explorer, MBE, the longest unsupported trip across the Greenland to the North Pole. Will Greenwood, rugby legend. That is Jason Fox, Who Dares Win, Special Forces. So I'm thinking, great, okay? I'll be judged by what I do and not what I say. You have thermals, gloves, layers. It's a layer system, 3 jackets, a working jacket that you haul with all day long, and the big beast on to keep you warm when you stop. And there is a huge amount of kit. So every day we'd stop and give our signal. We call base camp. These are you've never seen shoes like this, okay? But there's never a problem with the feet staying warm. It was always the fingers and the ears and face. And I was paranoid about my fingers, so I paid a lot of attention to that. This is the sledge. Everyone had their own sledge. In the front, your day requirements. Okay, so in there is a change of clothes, food packs, pork scratchings, pepperoni, chocolate peanuts, 6,000 calories a day. So you'd stop, go back on your sledge, open it up, and then you just sit there going, eating. And it tastes of nothing. And that's why you want the pork scratchings and the pepperoni, to give you a little bit of taste. On day 3, I think it was, there was, Jason came up to me and said, Neil, his tooth was in his hand. It exploded from that temperature, and it just burst. And I said, what do you want me to do, Jason? I said, I'll put it in my pocket and I'll glue it. I'll get someone else to glue it back when we get home. So your admin, they talk about admin, get your admin sorted. I was a spare ski carrier. All the sledges were packed the same way. If you go into the ocean, there's a protocol to follow. You have to go into their sledge, get their new clothes on, bring them up, put a tent up, heaters up, and thaw them out. Luckily, none of us went in, so that was great. So how do we get up there? So there's no scheduled flights to the North Pole. Okay. Every year the Russians they skydive in, they build a runway. And there are 8 flights from Longyearbyen, which is the northernmost part of Norway. It takes 3 flights to get there. And then you get in this plane, there are no stewardesses or lovely meals. It's literally no seat belts, get in there and do your best. The night before we left, they had an explorer give us a motivational talk, and he said, has everyone seen the crash of the plane last year on YouTube? I'm like, honestly, people were crying. I was like, literally, I love you, I miss you. It was really, really scary. So you fly to Barneo camp. As soon as you get to Barneo, onto the helicopter. So sledges out, I stepped out, my eyes froze, I couldn't open my eyes. I said, I've gone blind. I said, look, shut up, you've got ice in your eye. And I thought, I cannot do this. I cannot think, I cannot move. I took my glove off stupidly and everything just went white. All the moisture in my nose froze. And this, I thought, is going to be quite an experience. There's the flight to Barneo. Everyone's trepidatious. There's Wayne at the back. He's just on the luggage. There's some scientists going out there. They have a scientific team that go out there every year. And then we landed there. The helicopter landed and the helicopter took off. And there we were, 10 of us, on the ice, miles from nowhere. And it takes 3 hours to put the tents up. You have to do it in a very methodical way. The skis on the outside. And that is the moment I went from a rugged individualist to a group. Okay, we hadn't really spent a lot of time training. There were people from all over the world. And you're looking at each other and going, I am reliant on them. I am reliant on them. I have to trust them to do their job. And you look around this office and there are people you look around and go, they're going to do their job. They're going to do their job. And that element of trust comes in quite quickly. So we'd haul for about 8 to 12 hours a day, stopping every 2 hours, 2-litre flask of hot liquid, all taped up. Your buddy would come up next to you, you'd check their face for frostbite, take off the big mittens, one in a glove, and you take on lots of liquid. Dehydration is a big problem, as is perspiration. If you sweat, you die. You have to trust the kit. So the skins, breathable skins, and fortunately, you don't go more than 2 or 3 miles an hour. So for an older dude, it's really good. It's all about just keep going. It's all about stamina. It never gets dark towards the North Pole, 360-degree horizon. What surprised me was the noise. You hear this noise all the time. And on a Tuesday afternoon, that expression, you're on thin ice. You know, your parents say, you're on thin ice, young man. Well, we were on thin ice, okay? It meant something really different. This enormous crack appeared and a noise like a tube train. And the Special Forces guys just clicked in and said, right, single file, hand on your belt. And if your sledge goes in, you drop it and let's get off this ice. Well, we did, you know, we did. But it was an absolutely terrifying moment. Camp life was great. So we were in pairs. I was lucky enough to be paired with Dean Munn, ex-rugby captain of Australia. His finest moment was beating the English in the World Cup at Twickenham, and he told me that a lot. And there were 3 cooking tents. Heating water was extremely dangerous, so only 3 tents were allowed to do that. And they got really hot inside, and you were allowed to, and then you'd change who you were invited for dinner with each night. And you'd line up your expeditionary food, fill it with boiling water. Alan was quite strict. He said, I don't want anyone eating out of the packet. He said, it sounds weird, but when taste and dinner time and meal time was something to really look forward to. And so we'd eat together. And that was a moment of bonding. What was it like out there? Like nowhere else I've ever been. It's a remote, inhospitable place with all these ice floes. And what you'd have to do is you take your skis off and you form chains and pull the sledges through, and everyone helping each other and working as a team. And that's what got us through, with immense beauty, immense majesty, and your thinking condenses down. There's no emails, no phone calls, there's no distraction. And you kind of get into this sort of serene state of kind of what's important in life. You know, your friends, your family, and you kind of make all these promises to what you'll do when you get back. And that's why this great idea, I'm going to sell my business and stop doing clinical dentistry. And that's another story. So it's a transformational journey. We go on a big train. People would find their kind of spot in the train. Alan at the front, Wayne at the back, Jason in the middle. So we were supported with Special Forces guys front and back. My great friend Georgie Brightmeyer, the only woman on the trip. And she's like a sister to me, and we'd arranged, she said, I'll go, but if we can share a tent because you're like my brother. Well, they realized she was the most important person on the trips. They put her in a tent with 2. So there's 3 of them in there with a Special Forces guy, Jason Fox. And every night she'd try and do spoons with him and take a photo for her Instagram. Every night like that. And the polar bear count was very high when we were out there. This is the bit I was talking about. The 3 dangers, the cold, polar bears, and leads. So all these ice mountains come when the ice, like plate tectonics, come together. But the opposite of that is the ice opens up into, they call them leads. And they open up quite quickly. And so if you're standing on this and it starts going, it's quite scary. And there is, anyone who's got any doubt about global warming, I mean, I've not been to the North Pole before, but Alan Chambers has been 16 times. He said, pretty soon we won't be able to go. We won't be able to go because it's melting. The ice caps are melting. So you have to find a way across. And this was opening up, so we skied as fast as we could. This is the rig, this is the setup. You've got your tracer, your lead, this is your sledge, good admin, no buckles open, nothing undone, face fully covered. These are coyote fur we sew in, our sponsors are Arc'teryx, we sewed in coyote fur to create a microclimate around your face. And you get quite warm when you're hauling, but when you stop, it gets absolutely freezing cold. Global warming, an iceberg. After 16 times, you've never seen an iceberg. We saw an iceberg. It's the size of like the biggest building you can think of, and we diverted to take our photos in front of it. Immense beauty, colours, ice flows, togetherness, team. There are people who count polar bears all year round, and we were told the polar bear count is really high. So they said, look, we're handing out more guns. I stupidly put my hand up and said, does that mean I can have one? I just laughed and said, no, you're joking. In fact, he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Dean gravy spray, just in case we come across a bear. We didn't come across any polar bears, but it's their habitat, and we were the intruders. They only attack upwind, so you know when you're at risk. And we had to sort of practice coming across them. The year before, there was an attack, and they had to shoot the bear, which really upset them. And what you have to do is make a really large animal noise quickly. In practice, most people just run the other way and hope for the best. Who are my teammates? These are my brothers and sisters now. That's Dean Munn. I think he's a mouth breather, but I'm not sure. Okay. And that's Georgie Brightmire, about the 10th British woman ever to ski to the North Pole. That was us just about to land in Barneo camp. I mean, that is what fear looks like. We were absolutely terrified. Jason Fox, you know him from He Who Dares Wins. He's an advocate for men's mental health. He was discharged from the Special Forces with post-traumatic stress disorder. And now he spends most of his time talking. He'll go anywhere to help a man with any mental illness, because he had the help. Okay, so there's lots of people with messages. Will Greenwood, his son Freddie died preterm. Everyone had a story who was there. It gave us great purpose. And at night we'd be in our tent and we'd talk to each other and open up. No one was listening. We were a band of brothers and sisters who could be really honest and open. And people tell you their backstory, and there's not a single person who hasn't got something of pain or distress that drives them on. And we raised £1 million for Bourne Foundation. So that was our purpose, to raise awareness and funding for Bourne Foundation, preterm birth. Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, Professor Mark Johnson, who thinks he can cure that. So that was our why. And as we spoke and we talked, we changed from being a group to a team, where we'd all start helping each other. There'd be a guy, there's always one guy with a clipboard looking busy. And before we left, we were told at extreme temperatures, you don't know how your brain's going to be. And he'd seen people at the end of the day just get into bed without helping. I thought, oh, please don't let that be me. Please don't let me be that guy. So everyone started working together and functioning as a team. Alan Chambers, 16 times Polar Explorer, the longest unsupported challenge, MBE. His patron was Princess Diana. And he now helps people all over the world, children with special needs. He says, get them into adventure. Get them into adventure. One lad, terrible upbringing, no O-levels, no GCSEs. He said, get into adventure. All you got to do is put one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. Ken will tell you, in business, one foot in front of the other. Keep plodding, and then when it goes well, enjoy it. Wayne Hoyle, Wayne at the back, Special Forces, head of Special Forces, SBS. Seconded to Navy SEAL Team 6 in 2012 during a significant time of their history. These are really hard men, and they are warm men. And as they formed us into this amazing team that worked every day into that rhythm. Up, drop the camp 3 hours, melt the water, fill your bottles, check everyone's admin, make sure there's no frostbite, injuries, problems. And then we went. And when you ski every night, we decided we would go with the ice drift. There are teams that go against the ice drift, so you wake up. First thing everyone does, check the sat-nav. Because you'd gain like 2 kilometers at night because the ice flow is moving. So geographic North Pole is always moving. And so that is what we did. And eventually we got on April the 18th to the North Pole. And we formed this amazing team. And Alan stopped us. He said, we're going to reach geographic North Pole, 00, compass spinning around. He made us form a line. He said, everyone's got a reason for being here. Think of your loved ones. And we all arrived there. He said, it's a special place for me. I brought my dad's ashes here. And people are crying and they're broken by the weather. It's so brutal. It's got really, really cold. And we got the sponsors, all the people who'd helped pay for our trip, and all the children from Bourne Foundation who'd survived preterm birth. And that's what the North Pole looks like. The rest of the Arctic, it just looks the same. It's another special place. We put the big tent up. We radioed base camp. They sent a helicopter 4 or 5 hours. We sang songs. We became this incredible group. This is us. We'd finished. We'd succeeded. we'd made it. That's Dean, this is the lead. The sound we're on, you could hear it, it's like a tube train. This is Wayne going through an ice field, absolutely demolished it. That is such hard work. Never dark, 360-degree horizon coming to the top of planet Earth. Just you can hear the sound of it just opening up. And I think it's all about the journey. I think it's all about a small group of people who come together and achieve great things. That was a sight for sore eyes, believe you me. Flare went up, the helicopter came in to pick us up. A really great moment. That's just been picked up on the helicopter, safe. And it was a massive relief because it's really dangerous up there. I can't lie. I can't pretend anything else other than it's really dangerous. So what happened? We went from being a rugged individualist to a group, to a team. And then we became a family. And that togetherness and that success, and we raised money and we survived and we did it. And when you are part of a family, you take them with you. So you all came with me. I'm going to ask Ken to get me a FMC flag. If you could all sign it, I'm going to raise it at the South Pole if I get there all right. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being part of my journey. Big, big part. Some of you I don't know, a lot of you I do. And thanks for your attention.